Miss Sabrina Rucker has two questions. She said, why are we here? Okay, it's a good question. And why did we forget? All right, that's a good question also. Okay. Like I told you guys, every mythological and spiritual legend and literature has to do with your blood, the blood of Africans. Okay? Everything you read in the Bible, everything is an allegory about your blood. All right? Now, two things you have to understand. Number one is the importance of your blood and what this place actually is. All right? So, like I told you, the famous phrase of '07 is everything is on the inside looking out. All right? That's the famous phrase, '07's famous phrase. Everything is on the inside looking out. It doesn't matter if it's a roach, a cat, a rat, a mosquito. It's on the inside of something looking out. There is nothing that is out. There is nothing that is outside of a frame. Understand this principle first when you try to understand the structure of your reality. Remove your mind from your education about a ball floating around space. Bring it down to your own perspective. Now, spread that perspective in general form to everything that lives. You find out that just like you, everything is on the inside of a frame looking out. All right? So now, this shifts the paradigm of understanding of reality. So because everything is on the inside looking out, there are two perspectives. There's the cause and there's an effect. There's the object and there's the reflection of the object. All right? So now we're looking at emanation now. We're not looking at you living in a physical thing. We're looking at virtual realities now. So where is this virtual reality coming from? It's just like you at a movie theater and you have guys arguing about the origin of the shit you see on your screen. Arguing about the shape of the screen. If you shape the screen different, if it was going to affect the people in the screen. An intelligent person will trace the source of the images in the screen, on the screen. And when you trace it, you find out that it's coming out. All those things you see on that screen is coming out from a small little device in the back called a projector. So now when you open into that projector, you're still not going to see people. You're not going to see people in that projector. The projector is not the source. So now there's a tape. The tape recorded something that's being projected. So the tape itself is not a source. So you go deeper. Okay? So this is the logic or the allegory of human existence. All right? So because everything is on the inside looking out, our reality flows out of us. All right? If you look at the Lucifer sigil, if you go pull up even the sigil for Saturn, is cleverly hidden. The functionality of your occidental nerves at the back of your spine, the connection where your spine and your brain at the back of your neck. This is what determines your vision, everything you see. What you think you see in front of you is actually images in the back of your head. So you're in your own vision. You're living in your own vision, and your spinal cord is giving you the illusion that it's physical. You're not actually in a place. That's why it's called a void. You're not in a place. You're just given the illusion that you're in a place. It's a technology. It's a very old technology. This is what your so-called ancestors dealt with. All right? So now, this so-called technology did not go down well with a lot of the other beings, because the reality of existence, when you start going higher up, is not physical. It's more based on intelligence. So you're supposed to be able to create your own reality and enjoy it at will. Whenever you feel like you don't want to have that reality, you just change it like a TV channel. That's the difference between a god and an animal. An animal is trapped in his own visions. A god could change his visions at will, or her visions at will. And in so doing, change the reality at will. This is what it means by eating the tree of knowledge and of good and evil, tree of knowledge. So the serpent told humans that it'll open your eye to what the world really means, who you really are. You become like them. That's what the serpent told the humans. You will become like them. That means that you look beyond your physical, that it's a virtual reality. Okay? And you embrace your true nature, which is a bodiless intelligence. You feel me? So when the reality of animal existence was created, it angered a few of the forces also. They did not like it. That's what the war in heaven means, that there was a war in heaven. Some of the intelligences, out of trickery, lent their essence to be used to create the intelligence that you think you have now. Is dark matter. The dark matter that pervades this realm is actually the ashes of a higher level of existence, which is where you originally came from. When you notice that this realm was a reality and it was a trap, you gave your essence as part of the building materials for this realm. You became carbon. You became dark matter. Through that carbon and dark matter, intelligence became an ingredient in creation in the lower realms. Without your own dark matter, without your presence, there won't be no intelligence. Your intelligence is what pervades the cosmos. If you close your eyes now, your world will disappear. That's basically what I'm trying to say. What you think is a universe is in you. If you was to close your eyes and go, your entire world will go with you. Your universe, everything will disappear. It won't stop existing. All right? So your intelligence is the intelligence in your world. And it's hard to understand because of the way we were educated. But this is going to shift your paradigm of perspective and understanding. All right? So when you lent your essence, you did it as a virus. They showed you these things in, like, for example, The Matrix. It was in the third part that they actually explained it to you. All that time, Neo was fighting. The most occult part was when Neo stopped fighting. Remember, all the time he was fighting Agent Smith, Smith was perfectly happy, going along. The moment Neo stopped fighting, Smith knew that he knew. And what did he know? He found out that Smith, the entire universe, was coming out of him. It was all his own reflection. All you had to do is take himself out of the equation. Everything else would go along with him. So he was basically fighting himself all this time, fighting his own reflection. So the moment Smith noticed, Smith was like, no, 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 no. He's like, I'm supposed to say something. I'm supposed to say something. He was like, everything that has a beginning has an end. Then Smith was like, oh my God, what did I just say? That was the spell. That was Smith's reality. That everything that has a beginning will have an end. It doesn't matter if it's an angel. It doesn't matter if it's a human. It doesn't matter if it's steel, copper. As long as it's in this lower realm and there was a beginning for that thing, it will have an end. But the dark forces, the Guanxi forces, don't have a beginning. The what you call the demons, they don't have a beginning. They were not created. So they're not going to die. That's why they call them the Titans. That's why Atlas carries the world on his shoulders, because the moment Atlas decides to drop the world will crumble. You are Atlas. So when you came into this realm, you infused yourself to become a core motherboard, raw material. So when the time comes, your exit will destroy it. So you, the Silver Surfer. That's why they hate you. That's the only reason why they hate you. They know the power your exit carries. Even in the Exodus, and this is on a pure, highly scientific, transcendental level. This is not for mundane discussions and minds. It's not for your regular woke crowd. Okay? It's pure scientific, transcendental science. So even in the Exodus story, all right, they convinced you that Egypt was a geographical location. However, the true occult understanding is that Egypt is the earth, the land of the flesh. And the slavery of Egypt was actually your existence on earth itself. Then it will come a time when your blood begins to age. That's when it says, when the new Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. That means your greatness or the royalty of Joseph had waned, which means that you can't build these pyramids no more. You can't time travel no more. You can't do all these things your ancestors used to do because your Joseph had died. A new reality that knew not Joseph is upon you, which basically means that your blood had started to age. Just like everything else in the lower realms will age. So when it got to that point, when they were about to leave Egypt, the Egyptians tried to bribe them by they said, ask them for all their gold and they'll give you. What this means is that when they figure out that you now know and you don't care anymore, you don't care about racism, you don't care about anything human. When they figure this part out now that, oh, you know, right? They will bribe you. And we just getting to that point with all this reparations talk. Because they know the God is amongst you. They know it's a matter of time that it's going to come out. He's going to say it. And it might start off like a little few people know it, but it'll eventually, it happens all the time. This is not the first time. This script is not the first script. This little piece of information destroys worlds. Okay? When it gets to that point, They gave the Egyptians all their gold. They will bribe you with everything, every kind of riches on this earth. The reparations that you're looking for, they'll give it to you times a million. They'll give you they'll give you their armies. They'll make you the leader of this world again. Just for you to stay. Because they know that you know. You know, this is a very ancient secret. So your exit is the bomb. And that's why the demons came down on earth as a fall. All right? So now the second question you asked was, why did we forget? We forgot because of, number one, the moment you introduce anything to this realm, the two things that, the main law is deterioration. So this includes memory, everything on every dimension, blood, your physical nature. The moment anything is introduced in the physical realm, from that moment is introduced, is death is already ticking. When you are born now, when you live to be 1 year old, you're less healthy from the moment you're born. As you move along that point, you're getting less and less healthy from the moment you enter this world. It's going to get to a tipping point, just like how the sun, when it rises out the horizon, becomes a noonday sun. The moment it passes that tipping point, then it becomes more pronounced. The law of diminishing returns sets in. You feel me? Now you start to notice it more as time goes on. It's not really that there's time. There's no time. It's just that there's a law that's going on, which is deterioration. All physical matter deteriorates. You know, when you look at radioactivity, it has something called a half-life. Everything that is created has deterioration attached to its code. Death. All right? So death is time. That's why Chronos is Saturn. All right? So we forgot because of the aging process and the glamour. You know, when you have all these powers and you're using your mind to levitate giant blocks, which at that point you had deteriorated. Before then, you were going in and out of worlds and basically just imagining things to be. When you got to the point where you had to use your mind to lift giant blocks, you had aged considerably from where you were before. But now, look at you now. You are the ones that built all that shit, but look at you now. Then imagine where you're going to be in the next 1,000 years, because aging never reverses. This is why they gave these warnings in all these. That's what all these warnings mean in your scriptures. You know, when they were giving them markers, they say, hey, look, when you see the man of sin come out in the temple, start acting like God, it's probably time to start planning your exit. When you see a Pharaoh come out and don't know Joseph no more, it's probably time to start planning. These are just metaphors for your gene, to understand the aging of your blood and your gene pool and the effect that that's going to have on you, and the physical markers that you need to look for on earth to know that you were born in that time. Feel me? So that's why we forgot. That's why we're here. All right, Miss Sabrina, to answer your question.